hate podcasts. Now, this is rather an ironic thing. I'm on a podcast network. I'm going to be putting out podcasts as time goes on. I'm going to be spreading my podcast love all over the world. But I hate the things, and I'll tell you why. I grew up on radio. I grew up on good radio. I grew up on Howard Stern. I grew up on Rick Dees. I grew up on the masters of the craft. I grew up on Tom Leykis as I got older, Opie and Anthony. People who crafted a show that was funny, entertaining for the full 5 hours or 4 hours, however long it went. Just real shows about what people were really going through. And now with first of all, the iPod comes out and people are like, oh, well, we can put bits of spoken word on the iPod and it's called a podcast. All right, cool. This is a great idea. Let's put out podcasts. And then that caught on. Everyone, and then all of a sudden everyone had a podcast. The thing about podcasting that I don't like is it's boring. Podcasts are inherently boring. You listen to somebody go on and on and on and on for like 10 minutes about a certain subject. They're boring, they're short, they're kind of bland, they're not funny at all, really. I hate podcasts. Podcasts are awful. Podcasts are terrible. That's why I prefer to call this show the Random Internet Radio Show. But I understand that in this market, podcasts are necessary. Because podcasts are what go to iTunes. This 3-hour show does not go to iTunes. I mean, I've played a lot of music that is cleared by the artists. If you want to find out who played on the show, hit me up at the rarshow@gmail.com, and I will tell you. But the thing of it is that places like iHeartRadio, Stitcher, all that, they don't like music. Music brings a whole new set of problems. Music brings a whole new set of problems to the whole game. And the set of problems that music brings is copyright, because there's a lot of piracy out there. Because people will play tracks and they just won't. They won't give credit. They won't give acknowledgement. They'll just play tracks for whatever reason. Now, part of my intro, which I'm going to play the show out with, is a song by Muse called Survival. Now, yes, I'm using that, but I'm using it for the purposes of education, and I'm using it for the purposes of basically, this is a badass song that I would like to share. Folks, go buy it if you liked it. Muse, I don't think, should worry about my 20 or 30 listeners at this point. But it's when the podcast gets big and people start asking for royalties that you can't even have music. So iHeartRadio does not like to support music-driven podcasts, which I think is garbage, because I can't do a show really without music. Like a 3-hour show, I like to break it up a little bit. So, and I like to show people what I like to listen to. I don't think there's a problem with that. The band Muse is not hurting for money. The band Muse is not having difficulty in that area. They have enough fans to where they can get along, and I can play their song maybe once or twice. And see, that's the issue. That's the issue with some of these folks, is that they think they're going to get sued for copyright infringement. Well, get over it. It's a new world. It's not the world of before, where music was limited to just what record labels released. Anybody can put out a track nowadays, and I mean anybody. Anybody can put out a song. Anybody can. It's just the availability of tools is so evident The tools are evident. The tools are there. They're affordable, so people are going to do it. It's like Spreaker. It's like podcast networks. The tools are there. You just gotta... people gotta lighten up a little bit about that. Because my little show is not going to make or break an artist. My little show is not going to put someone to the top. My little show is done because I enjoy doing this stuff. Now, granted, if somebody decides, hey, that guy's pretty good at what he does, I'd be happy to do this for a living. But I'm happy to have a 40-hour week job, let me tell you. Because without it, I wouldn't be able to support my family. I wouldn't be able to do anything. So, in essence, I mean, everything is so convoluted. Music is convoluted. Everything is so diluted. I mean, everything is out there. Everything is out there. And the people who do not want to pay for things don't have to. So, the music industry is fighting a losing battle, I'm afraid. So, broadcasters feel cornered into this little hole. They're like, oh, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. So what do? They talk about things. And I just find podcasts to be inherently and utterly boring.